what were your children like as children? Because, your son has been on The Bachelor. I mean, you guys are a little bit of like a reality dynasty here. Your son was on Rachel Lindsay's season of The Bachelor. He didn't win, but I mean, that's still a big deal. You guys are on. I mean, were your kids all like standouts and you were like, we got to be on television? I mean, what was it like with their childhood?
We're all very close, like I'm very close to my sons too, not just Cher. I make sure I speak to them every day also. And
whether they like it or not.
Yes, whether they like it or not. Sometimes they're not too happy about it, but I say, as long as you speak to me for a couple of minutes a day, I'm happy.
Yes. But did you know from a young age, like that you guys were like ready for television or no, not till you were older and then this idea came?
Well, Cher was on my Super Sweet 16 many years ago. And she was just always very out there and shining. And so is Grant. They're just very, very out there and very, they just say it as it is. And they have a lot of friends and everything. So
yeah. So you just kind of knew it was like this natural progression.
It just happened.
I think it just happened. Like we were on MTV's My Super Sweet 16. And then after that, it was a show called MTV's Exiled, where they like exiled me to the jungles of Panama. And that was really fun. But then I took off time and I went to college and that was really, amazing. And then this opportunity to like, my mom and I just have been so close. Like if you rewatch My Sweet 16, like we were always close. I feel like we've gotten even closer though, as I've gotten older, because now we can be friends and not just be like mother and daughter. And so when this opportunity came about to share that relationship, I don't know if you know this, but my mom and I, we actually wrote a book. It's called A Bond That Lasts Forever. And basically it's how my mom and I got so close and how others can too. And I felt like Smothered, before we knew it was going to be called Smothered, we knew it was a show about mothers and daughters who were super close. And we wanted to kind of normalize that. I don't think the show is normal by any means, but we did want to try to normalize mother and daughter relationships and being able to have a close bond with your mom or your daughter.
Don, this is probably in the book, but why did you name her Cher?
Everybody asks me that. I didn't name her Cher because of Cher, the singer. I just always loved the name. I thought at the time it's very different, that nobody at this era would know Cher, even though they still know Cher. And I like different names. And I like short names because all my kids' names are short names.
Oh my God, it's great. It's easy to say, right? And it's so memorable.
Yes.
You never forget. I was reading too that you all get, and of course, you're on TikTok, you've written the book, and I hear you get a ton of questions about advice, right? That mother daughters need. And it is true. I'm very close with my mom too. And it's truly a gift when you are, because you learn so many lessons from your mother and vice versa, right? Over the years, I want what's an example of the craziest question that you guys have gotten about a mother-daughter relationship?
It's so interesting. The craziest.
Or is there a funny one that stands out? Is there even shocked you guys? I mean, y'all are pole dancing together. What have you seen?
There's honestly, we get questions all the time. I think one that stood out to me was where there was a mother and daughter, and they were close, and the mother started dating the daughter's ex-boyfriend without realizing it was her ex-boyfriend, and like how to tell each other that they were like now dating once she figured that out. So that to me was extreme. So I'm like, whoa, like how does that happen even? But I mean, we get questions all the time, and it's so fun just connecting with other people who want to form a bond, because, not everyone has this, and we're very lucky to have it. And we're also happy to have this platform to share how to become closer if you want to.
And it's nice because now I get a lot of fans and young teenagers saying to me that they want to get closer with their mom. And we're trying to show that it's not, you can have a relationship, you can be close, and it's not weird.
Well, they think we're weird, that's for sure, but it doesn't have to be as extreme if you don't want it to be. But your mom can be your friend too, if you allow her to be.
Oh my
And if
God.
it's weird, it might not be weird to you. It could be weird to someone else. But
Right.
if you're happy, then fine, as long as you're too happy.
Oh, 100%. And I'm sure you two just being on TV have probably helped so many mother-daughters reconnect than you probably even know.
I hope so. I feel like, I hope so. I feel like that's one of the great things about Smothered. It's just kind of putting that in your mind, like, hey, you can make a friendship with your mom if you want to. We actually, my mom and I have a podcast together called Chattermouth Podcast, and we talk all about like mother and daughter relationships, and we give an advice and like ask us anything style, or we talk, and we really like allow people to truly get to know us. And like you see just a clip of us on TV, which is so fun. I feel like you see like the highest dramas in our life go down.
Yes.
But if you want to get to know us more on a deeper personal level, then on our podcast, we really try to really show that.
Yeah.
And also on the podcast, you see Cher's thinking of a 32-year-old, and then mine is a 62-year-old. So different perspectives on different topics, which is very interesting because we don't always agree.
How have you guys liked podcasting? You've been on television, you've written a book. Do you like the podcasting format? Because it's a lot more work than people think.
It's so much work, but I love it. And you know why I love it so much? Because my mom and I, we have so much fun just like sitting there chatting for hours about like every single topic. Like, well, it's like on the podcast, we talk about sex, we talk about relationships, we talk about so many different things. And it gives us that time where we just have to sit there and talk with no other distractions except for us just communicating or interviewing some really interesting people. So it's so much fun because usually on my everyday, I'm a mom. Like now I'm home with my daughter. I'm wearing sweatpants and stained t-shirts and like, I'm exhausted, but this gives me that moment of kind of like clarity, a moment of peace where I can just sit with my coffee, talk to my mom, and it's just the best.
Oh my God.
It's so great for me because now Cher's a mother and she's so busy with Belle that I know I'm going to speak to her today and we can just talk about whatever together. And I love that because that's why we actually named it Chattermouth, because we chatter all day long.
And okay, and then this season we see you, Dawn, you've moved to Florida, right? You were in New York for years and years.
Oh,
Cher.
me.
Oh, okay, Cher, you were in New York for years and years. Now you live in Florida, closer to Dawn, right? You guys are like, you're still several hours away. But how's the move been? Like, I mean, I don't even know how you guys could get any closer, but is living in the same state now a better feeling?
Oh my gosh.
It's definitely so much better. When she was in New York during the pandemic, I would drive 17 hours to see her because at the time I was afraid to take a plane. I didn't want to get COVID, but it didn't keep me away. So what's 5 hours now to go to Miami? It's nothing compared to 17 hours. I'm happy going. So it's so much better.
I cannot imagine. I mean, when you were driving 17 hours, would your husband go with you or were you like solo doing these trips? Like I envision you, Dawn, like just full hair makeup in a diaper, driving for 10 hours, not stopping to go pee. What were you doing?
No, it's so funny. My husband did come. He's a good sport about it. So he did come. He did most of the driving. I have to be honest about that. But we didn't stop at any restaurants. We would pack our food. We would go straight. And I only stopped for bathroom stops. I didn't wear a diaper. I only stopped for bathroom stops. And that was it. And we just went straight every time. But I didn't want to miss those opportunities of seeing Belle grow. I mean, you can't get that back. And then, of course, I wanted to be with Cher too.
I know. I have a 17-month-old and it's like we constantly look back and see how he's changed from 6 months ago. So
yes.
You want to spend those moments. I have a theory though, ladies. I think it's a great idea to marry a doctor. You both are married doctors and, they have to work so fucking much. It just gives you guys so much more time together. I feel like I should have married a doctor. I'd spend even more time with my mom.
Oh my God, you crack me up.
Funny.
Right? You do work a lot.
It's so funny you say that because when at one time Cher and Jared lived in Tampa when Jared was in medical school. And I would then go to her house, hang out with her, have a whole day with her. And as soon as Jared was coming home, I'd ran back to my house, and then she had time with Jared, so I wasn't in the midst of Jared and Cher together.
Right? I mean, Jared has like 4 hours a day, or 4 hours probably for the entire week when he's in medical school. And it's like, that's all the time you need with him, you know, and then the rest of the time you hang out with Don. Ladies, do you watch any other TLC shows? Like, you obviously watch yourselves on Smothered. Do you watch any other, like, do you watch 90 Day Fiance? Do you watch any other the franchises?
Yeah, I love Mama's Boy.
Yeah. We love I Love a Mama's Boy because we
could
totally
relate to that.
And my mom wishes that my brother was more of I Love a Mama's Boy style.
Right.
Oh my God, Dawn, it would be great if you were doing both shows. You were working double duty, honey. That would be great. Did you guys watch this latest season? I'm curious.
Yes.
Which mother-son duo do you most relate to?
That's a great question. We love Matt and Kelly. We just think they're so fun to watch. There's always something new with them.
Yes. Could you believe he was like cheating on that other girlfriend with the new one? And now he's got the new girlfriend. I mean,
I know. And it's crazy because the way it ended, but now he's like in a happy relationship and like, it looks like they're doing really well. So, you know, more power to them.
And have you watched that show and like, I mean, even seen a moment that's gone too far for you two, or like, no, you're like, okay, fine. You know, Kelly's out there with a 4-wheeler ripping up trees so she can spy on Matt. Like, what?
I know.
I think it's very hard for a mother with a son with like mother-in-laws, and it's very difficult. So I feel for Kelly, and I feel for the other mothers to hopefully have a relationship with their so-called hopefully daughter-in-laws.
Yeah. Dawn, by the way, your in-laws, you know, Jared's parents, I mean, you know, you kind of in season 4 take a little bit of a swipe at them that like, you know, you would do anything, you'd move to be near Belle. I mean, so how's that relationship going?
Well, you'll see. Stay tuned.
So, Cher, were your in-laws you know, willing to be like on the show? Like, how did they feel about it?
Yeah, they were, you know, they're big like supporters of Jared and of us. So yeah, they were fine with it because it's really just showing our relationship. I'm just hoping they're still okay with it now once they have to see what goes on, what we say behind the scenes, because when we're being interviewed, a lot of times, like, you know, we're not thinking about how it's going to affect somebody. And so, because we're just trying to be as honest and real and raw as we can be. And so that's always a little scary. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, next week is going to be, they're going to be on it. And so, you know, I don't know what's going to happen after. I'm a little nervous for sure. So we'll see. Yeah.
I mean, I'm so curious to see how that all goes out, like goes down. And, I mean, Dawn, I'm trying to imagine what you are like as a mother-in-law, you know, like off camera.
Well, it's interesting. I do, my oldest son is married. And I try very, very hard because I want to keep the family close. And I think as a mother-in-law, you really need to try hard because you don't want to lose your son to his wife, and you want to keep everything close. My whole life is keeping the family close. That's my mentality. And I'll do whatever it takes to keep the family close.
And by the way, do you believe in that old saying? You know, people always say a daughter is a daughter for life and a son is a son until he meets a wife. Do you think that's true? Or like, and how do you combat that?
I think a lot of that saying is true, but that's why I do combat it by trying very hard to be a good mother-in-law. And if my daughter-in-law doesn't like something, I say, I'm sorry, what can I do? I didn't understand your perspective on it. So I try very, very hard. And I think you can't give up as a mother-in-law of trying. You can't say, well, that's it. I'm not going to try anymore. You have to always try it and put in the effort.
Cher, do you think she does that?
She's definitely a great mother-in-law. She's a wonderful mother in my opinion, but she definitely does believe that saying. I mean, that is a classic saying. And it's so true. Cause like a lot of times the girls kind of rule the roost in the relationship. So that's why she tries extra hard to be close with the women in the family.
Yes.
I know. And yeah, it's so hard, right? Family dynamics. I mean, you guys see it. You're doing your podcast, you've written your book, you hear probably everybody's horror stories as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that goes both ways, Don. Like, you have to be a good daughter-in-law. You always hope you get a daughter-in-law that's mature enough to understand like the role of a mother. And, I mean, she doesn't want to lose her son. And it's like trying to always include the mother-in-law and things is it's so important. And when you are a tight mom daughter, sometimes that can get overlooked. That's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yes.
One of my brothers, my brother Grant, he's single. And I think it's always a little intimidating for him to no, he's not single anymore. He's in a relationship now. But when he was single, it was always hard for him to like bring home a girl because like, how will they fit in? My mom and I, we look so much alike, we act so much alike. It's like almost like double duty. You're getting like double. So the pressure you think you're going to get, you're going to be getting double of that. So I know it was always like a little scary for him to bring somebody home.
Yes. But I always tell him, always pick someone with a good heart. Looks can change, but the heart never does change. So I always stress that to him, even though he goes for the looks too. But I always stress, look down deep. If they really look at their soul and how sweet they are.
Look, you two are amazing and just so entertaining to watch. And I mean, it is uncanny, I think, on some of these shows, how much the mothers and daughters look alike. And I mean, you guys have looked like twins forever. I mean, like, what do you guys do? Do you go to the same facial person? Do you go like to the same Botox person? You're like, okay, keep us looking exactly alike. Like, I mean, it doesn't change.
She doesn't change. She doesn't age.
No.
Tell us all your secrets, girl. What are you fucking using? Because you look amazing.
I'm very into good skincare. Let me tell you, I'm very into good skincare. And on our podcast, I talk about it. That's like retina A is the main ingredient of everything.
Yes. Oh, I know. Okay. I can't wait to use retina. I'm starting to have another baby. Well, I'm not pregnant yet, but I want to have another baby. So
then don't use it. No.
I know.
Right.
You can't use any of the good stuff, when you're trying to have another baby. Okay. This is like a not politically correct question. So you can just tell me to fuck off, Cher, if you don't want to answer. But are you guys going to have another child?
You know what? I get that question all the time. And honestly, I'm just going back and forth. It's totally okay to ask. It's probably my most asked question.
Really?
But yeah. But, I just love my daughter so much. And I'm just so nervous to like bring in another child because I just don't know how I'm going to have the time to like dedicate to the other one. And so I just go back and forth constantly. And I think I'm just not ready just yet, but I feel like if I'm going to have one, I need to make the decision soon because I want them to be close in age, but I don't know yet.
He goes back and forth all the time.
Constantly.
I would love her to have another one, but of course it's totally her decision.
Okay, really, Don, you got to get in there and influence more. Don, that was like the most like,
she just like slides it in there. I want her to, but she digs it in.
Put the pressure on.
Well, that's why I give her all the sexy lingerie and everything to try to push it along.
Oh my goodness.
I'm wondering, I have a few more questions for you too. I mean, so fascinating, but I wonder, have you guys ever, I mean, it's interesting. You've also changed networks. You were on MTV, you're now with TLC. And people don't realize that that's hard to do actually within the television world too. Because lots of times you get branded with one network, you can't switch, but you guys have been able to do that. And I'm wondering, has anyone else ever tried to poach you? Like, you almost would be great on Housewives as well. Has Bravo, have any of their production companies ever reached out and said, hey, you two, especially when you were in New York, Cher, any other offers?
No, that's interesting. No, when I was in New York, I feel like I was still young. Like I was only 24, really. I was young still, but they haven't done a Real Housewives of Tampa yet, at least not that I know of. So no, we've been enjoying this process. I mean, we weren't like searching out to be on TV or anything like that. This opportunity really was just to show off being close with your mom. I mean, we had written a book prior to the show even. So I feel like this just really made a lot of sense for us. And like I said before, we had no idea the show was going to be called Smothered. Like when they were casting, they were literally just casting mothers and daughters who were just best friends, or so we thought. We thought we were normal. We thought we were totally normal. But when we watch it back, we realize maybe we're a bit much.
It's so true. Like when Cher was saying they were casting for mothers and daughters that were very, very close and best friends. And we said, that's us. We can't be any closer. We are best friends. We have to apply for this.
Yeah, because Dawn, I'm surprised too that they haven't asked you to be on other shows. You know what I mean? Like you have this gorgeous house. People are obsessed with your home online. You know, they want to see pictures of the inside, the outside. They love your house. You know, so and you know, of course, you guys have done well in your lives and careers. So you'd be great on another franchise too. Not that I'm trying to steal you, but you know.
You know, what's so funny about our house is that a lot of people online, they always think it's haunted. And recently we just did a podcast on this where we had ghost hunters literally come out to find out if the house is haunted. And we like go over and we bring them in and like they showed us the gear and like there were some crazy findings within her house, like insane.
Really? Wait, okay, is that episode out? I was Googling a picture of the house right now. Like, is that out?
No, it's going to come out for Halloween, like on Halloween time, it'll be coming out, but it's insane. Like, oh my goodness. Like I always felt there were some spirits there, but just wait until you hear what we find. It's crazy.
Dawn, this is the house, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
Did you guys have this built? I mean, it looks like a mini castle in Florida.
It's so funny. Yes, my husband and I, we actually designed it. We built it from scratch. And I must have lived in another era at one time with castles or something in my other life, because when we built this home and we designed it, it was 30 years ago. I never was even in Europe at the time. I never traveled like that. So, and then I did this all from pictures in my head. We designed this thing. And then of course, afterwards we did a lot of traveling but it was incredible. I just always loved that style. But if you love contemporary, you're not going to love that style.
No, I mean, it does look like a haunted, you know, like manor, which is, but it's interesting. You built it. So I'm curious, the ghost episode, like what they found, like, you know.
Well, they say that the land, because we built it on property, who was there before, what happened before on that property before we built it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I need to listen to that. Ladies, what's next? You've written a book. You now have a podcast. You have a large TikTok following. You're on 4 seasons on television. What is next?
It's a great question. Honestly, we're just having so much fun living day by day. We do have something big coming out in store, which we're not allowed to say just yet, but I'll say follow us on social media, on Instagram and TikTok. And you'll be able to, you know, I'm at Cher Hupshire. My mom's at Dawn.Hupshire, and we'll be revealing it, I think, mid-October, our next really exciting venture going on. But right now it has to be a surprise.
I think it's mother-daughter vibrators. So when your mom's having sex, then the vibrator turns on, so you know, and then you can have sex simultaneously wherever you are. Am I hot? My God.
Oh my God. I really, as much as my mom and I like talking about sex, I really do not want to know when she's having sex. Like, I just do not want to know. I don't want to know.
She doesn't want to think about that with her father.
I mean, did you guys watch, was it the latest episode with the mom daughter? Oh my God. She's so brave to be on, the trans woman.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
All the sex details at the nail salon. I'm just like, okay, they're like, enough is enough. Like there has to be like one shred of a boundary. I mean, that is like
no boundaries.
I mean, look, I talk about everything on my show. So I'm always amazed now on television what they allow, but man, they go everywhere. Okay. This is the final question. Has any of the new cast members reached out to you guys for any advice? Did they reach out this season and say, hey, we're going to be on? Any tips, any advice, or because you're all separate, you don't really communicate till the show airs?
You know, unfortunately, we don't really we don't communicate. I really, really want them to do like a tell-all, like 90 Day Fiance does, where they get all the mother-daughter duos together and we all chat about things. I think it would be so interesting. Like, I want to meet them. Like, we're all friends on social media. Like, we follow each other, but that's really the extent of it. But I would just love, someone needs to pitch like a tell-all. We could even bring in like I Love a Mama's Boy meets Smothered and kind of just like chit chat on everybody. Like, that would just be so fun.
Yes. And it's almost like they need to do a camp where they like go, you know how they're doing like ultimate girls trip for housewives? They need to do, like, ultimate Smothered meets Mama's Boy, and like they just take some of you guys and then you're away at a camp for like a week.
Yes.
Oh, it'd be so good. Okay. Genius.
It would be. Done. Pitch it right now.
Yes.
I'm on it. Look, it was such a treat to sit down with both of you. You guys are awesome to watch on TV. Where do you want people to follow you and listen to the podcast?
Well, thank you so much. And it's been honestly so much fun chatting with you. Your background right now reminds me so much of our podcast. It's called Chattermouth Podcast. You can look it up it's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, Chattermouth Podcast. And then you can follow me on social media at Cher Hubsher. And you can follow my mom on Instagram at Dawn.Hubsher, or her TikTok at Dawn Hubsher. And I know all of this because my mom makes me help her with everything when it comes to being computer, phone literate.
When you're 62, you're not 32. The technology is just it's harder.
It is wild. Honestly, Dawn, even for me, it's bananas. It's crazy. Ladies, have the best holiday weekend. Love to both of you. And congrats on season 4. So fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So
All right.
sweet.
Bye, ladies. See ya.
Bye.
That was great. Thank you. I'll tag you both in everything. It will probably air next week.
Okay, wonderful.
Great.
So maybe
Next
the week after.
That's
but-
perfect. Either one. Next week, the big a big scene is going to be happening on the show, so it's probably a
good
It's
time.
good time.
Yeah, just
Okay,
because it'll be like a hot topic with the in-laws and all of that. So
Love.
yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds great.
Thanks
Bye,
so
ladies.
much for everything. Bye. It was so good
Thank
chatting
you.
with
So
you.
great to talk with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're such a great host. You're really like, you're so quick. Like, you're like a comedian. Like, you're
Well,
She is.
you are a comedian. You are, but how do you
started-
think of it? A lot of comedians have to practice, think of it. You're like so on the gut, like
Yes.
so good.
it's well, you two know, it's just practice, like doing it over and over. And I do so many, I probably do 100+ interviews a year, like for this podcast. And then now I've started doing stand-up like every single week,
So good.
once you get in the groove, like,
That's awesome.
like your mind kind of gets in it. So then you begin to see every little thing as a joke. And,
I love that. That's so cool. My brother just started doing stand-up and we've gone to a few of his shows and it's so hilarious. Like, it's so funny, but it takes so much courage. So I give you so much credit. That's awesome.
You have such personality plus.
Yes.
Oh my God. Well,
And
thank you.
it's natural on you.
Dawn,
Yeah.
thank you. You guys see a lot of people. So that means a lot. Thanks.
Oh. You're so sweet. Well, thank you so
True.
much for having us. This has
All
been
right.
fun.
Have
Yeah.
a great weekend.
You too. Bye, ladies. See ya.
Bye.